And I'm open for cross-examination.
The images of suffering would have been initiated by the 1AC, correct?
Oh, well, we don't have any images of suffering. Like,
Okay.
Like, we don't talk about, like, people dying or anything like that. We're just talking about how the planet's going to explode.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. You got me. How do you verify the science that justifies your
Well, we're quoting a lot of really qualified scientists. Like,
yeah, what does that mean?
Like people with PhDs who've
So-
done years of school, who know lots about warming,
so-
who write things in peer-reviewed journals,
So-
where other people assess.
Why
the
does that
effectiveness
mean
of
that all that
conclusions.
science is true? It seems very self-referential and
Well,
you know,
I think
insular.
that unless you want to like claim a conspiracy theory, I think you kind of have to believe that there is some sort of objective,
We would never
something
do that.
out there. You have to claim that there's some way.
Well, I'm
to know
not
what's going
denying
on.
that there is objective reality, or at least not yet. But you know, why do we know that your view of science is the correct objective reality?
Well, if you'd like to propose a different way of doing science,
No,
then I'd
not
be
yet. I want to
interested in
ask you
hearing
to
it.
justify
But-
yours. This is a cross-sex, not the one in C. Justify your way of verifying reality. How do you know that science is true?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
So why can't we just burn books to solve the case? Like in the movie The Day After Tomorrow, when the globe warmed and then cooled, they burned a bunch of books to stay alive. Why can't we do that?
Well, because we're not claiming it'll cool. We're claiming it's going to explode.
Okay, but as a result of global warming, right?
Yes, we're claiming that the planet will explode as a result of global warming.
Okay, so to make it stop warming, we can just burn books, right?
Well, no, when the planet blows up, like, all the books will get burned anyway, so, you know. I mean,
It's
we'll
kinda
just-
naive.
Well, wouldn't that solve the
Wouldn't
case?
that solve the case?
No.
Why wouldn't the planet just reinstate itself as a result of the burning books like in the movie?
Oops. Oh, because the planet's not going to be there anymore. Like,
Well-
a gigantic atomic explosion, dude. It's gone.
That
No
seems
more.
kind of circular logic you're using here. Am I wrong?
Logic.
Am
what
I
logic?
wrong? How do you run fiat?
What do you mean? How do we-
Like, well, you seem to say that you're just role-playing as the government, etc. You would sort of concede that plan does not go into existence post-AF ballot, right?
Well, of course, the plan doesn't really go into existence, but we'll claim that by pretending to be the government, that's good, and we'll claim that.
Why? Why is that good?
Oh, well, like, our
Okay.
Rawls evidence for one says that we have to pretend to be ideal policymakers
Why?
so we can assess, like, how our democracy works. and
Why can't we
check
do that
abuse.
without pretending to be a policymaker?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Why do we have to pretend to be a policymaker to assess how democracy works?
Because then we can evaluate ideal solutions, like what the government should be doing.
We don't really make arguments, per se. We all set?
Yeah.
I think this is the first time in my life that I've said I'm not going for the anus concede. All that they can't claim any unique offense because the counterplan sucks up just as much as the anus, and also they link to the gender argument just as much because the word steward, which is used at the term of the 1 ER, just as gender, and we didn't use gender language. The 1 and C was a narrative from Bataille about phalluses and stuff, and it described the way in which stuff functions in the world and how the C jerks off. It doesn't make it gender biased just because it refers to things that are specifically gendered. Referring to Joe as a dude is not gender language. Referring to the generic debater as a dude is a gender language, which means that there's no link to their argument. That's not unique because there's patriarchy now. This doesn't apply to our language argument on the counterplan because we counterplan uniqueness because the counterplan is a unique instance does not use the term fossil fuels. They say that they justify the new argument because it's important because language has real impacts. This is unfair to us. There's still no way to predict because we presented that argument in the 1 and C, and we have new arguments about the language that they use, but we're not going to introduce them until after the debate because it's so important we can do whatever we want. So you should always vote negative just to be safe.
Shittings of various words and phrases that don't mean anything.
Critique. Only argument I want here is about how about time skew because we ran 6 off, but they were so slow that they made my head hurt, which is a unique form of time skew which balances out. They say we marginalized the point of the debate because we ran trivial theory arguments, but Will Repko is a theory genius. This is not a trivial theory argument. Additionally, it applies equally to all of your theory business. It's just as vacuous and pointless and doesn't dismisses the substance of the debate. And any other shit? No, this is fine.
Wrong. Additionally, polls prove no one believes this shit. This is not in 1998. According to the latest scale of poll, 1 in 4 Americans can no longer believe this shit.
If we can't believe scientists, then why can we believe stuff from The Onion?
They're ontologically indistinct.
Plus, why are you describing intentions to the author? We all know the
So-
author is dead.
So you're saying that people who
Right.
go and write things that are supposed to reflect reality are different from people who intentionally write things that don't reflect reality?
Why are you ascribing
That
intentions to the author?
presupposes that reality is, existent.
vomiting.
75% of the poll respondents said believe the shit of beliefs, 9% said they could hardly believe the shit, additional 30% said they couldn't give a flying fuck about the whole goddamn thing. The national shit credulity index is hit an all-time low, with only 2% of Americans describing themselves as fully confident in the capacity to believe the shit. The American people had to deal with this kind of shit for years. Yelp organization president said, but now for the first time it appears the vast majority of them just can't fucking believe it anymore.
But no one believes this shit, which means that you shouldn't believe this shit because the
Counterplan solves it too.
And what?
Counterplan solves
Yeah, I was going to get to that, baby. The counterplan solves it just as much because it does the exact same thing that the plan does, which means it solves it, and the impact calculus is denied by their chef evidence, but indicates that they're just wrong. They're wrong. You've already spoken. Nothing is going to happen. Peer pressure argument. They say that we initiated it. You shouldn't blame us for peer pressure. If your disaster porn argument was so compelling, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. And this is fucking stupid. There, one, AC evidence is not talking about camera crews or editing documentaries or anything like that. It's talking about initiating images of disaster, which is what they would have done in the 1AC anyway. And this is stupid. You should vote on the counterplan because plan is the focus of the debate and critiques are bad. The counterplan. No offense anywhere, literally zero offense. They have conceded that the counterplan solves the entirety of the case. Any risk that the wording of the plan and the passage of the plan upholds Nazi ideology, that's always a bad thing. This is self-evident.
Like, if the Nazis had it, how does that relate to us being like the Nazis? I don't get it.
Because you implicitly and uncritically included fossil fuels in your plan text, which implies a non-biblical timeline of creation. Which means that, you know, your plan text supports evolution. The counterplan is, you know, anti-evolution. We think that evolution was the logic of the Nazis.
No offense means you always default negative. Only argument they have here is Holocaust trivialization. This is barely any ink here in the 1AR. First, they have not elaborated how we trivialize the Holocaust. You know, this is just because we said the word. You know, this is Joe's argument how they conflate the utterance of the Holocaust with equivocation. You know, there's nothing wrong about what we did. We have a very logical argument about how evolution was the basis for Mein Kampf. If this is trivializing the Holocaust, then everything trivializes the Holocaust. They say they reinterpret our evidence. This is dismissive to the norms of debate, and they should never do this. They say there's no impact of this argument, but the impact was explained to the 1NC about how they uphold Nazi ideology, which is the basis for the Holocaust. That's a bunch of dead people, which the AF uniquely causes. They say that we can't claim an impact. Nazism is an intrinsic impact. This is debate. It's always an impact. Then there's some dumb argument at the bottom about how they're more cultured, and then like the timer goes off or something. This is unarticulated in the 1AR. We have won that the plan, or the counterplan, sucks up all this other offense that they have here. They have not justified using the terms fossil fuels. They have conceded that it links our republic to the unbreakable ties of evolutionism. We should instead use the terms oil, coal, and natural gas. Otherwise, we fall prey to Nazi ideology. I got time. You got anything?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
You need to specify whether you consult Ashtar and the nature of Ashtar, whether he's a mechanical brain or an Illuminati creation.
Okay, like, how would that change your conversation if it's an Illuminati creation or a mechanical brain?
Well, because
How
if
do
it's
you
an
consult
Illuminati
that?
creation, then we obviously couldn't consult Ashtar. We need to know these things so that we can
Why
prepare
not? Why
our
couldn't you
1NC
consult
strategy.
Ashtar? Why couldn't you?
Because if Ashtar is an Illuminati creation, then clearly Ashtar doesn't exist. But if Ashtar was a giant brain,
Well, hang
and
on,
that
why-
was the
hang
case,
on, why-
then
why-
that
if
would
it's
yield
Illuminati
better
creation,
policy making.
Why would it not exist if it was an Illuminati creation?
Because our evidence, our icky evidence, talks about how it's fake. Ashtar doesn't exist.
How do you know?
Well, exactly.
Well, that's what we're saying. You need to take a position on this so that we can have a debate about this.
So if we take a position on this in 2AC, will we have a debate about this?
That's too late.
I
Okay.
mean,
It
yeah.
dictates our 1NC
The damage is
strategy.
done.
I mean, the block is where we make strategic decisions, and the 1NC is where we read our 1NC. So it's too late. What's the status of the counterplan?
Yeah, under what conditions can you create it?
I mean, I don't know. It's dispositional, let's say.
What's the status of the floating pick at the top?
The floating pick?
The first shot.
The floating pick is preconditional.
Okay. What
It
about-
means, well, that means that like we could have kicked it before the debate,
Okay.
but now you have to straight turn it.
You are balding.
Yep.
Exhibits old age.
Yep.
Alzheimer's.
Everybody?
Shut up.
Yeah.
Douche. If you don't pass a law, then you inevitably bring anger upon the Lord. Your argument about how all power comes from God is irrelevant because that blowing up of the planet is non-unique. The planet will be blowed in a world in which an aft ballot is cast or not, which means that, you know, the fact that you don't actually materially pass a law is the unique link. There's only a risk that that act angers God more. Vacuousness. Just absolutely nothingness.
Okay, so does the counterplan uniquely like actually pass a law?
No.
Okay, So how does that work?
Via magic wands, the fiat, and various things like that.
Those are magic wands that we don't possess.
Well, you forfeited your ability to read it, to have a magic wand in the 1AC when you said that methodologically debate is all about role-playing and then read 5 minutes of role-playing evidence. So our argument is that, it doesn't have to be
Okay, so where is your magic wand?
in my pants.
Uh,
Would you like to see my magic wand?
No, it's alright. Could you explain to me, like, first of all, like, where you got the magic wand, and second of all, like,
I was born with it.
exactly how you're going to use this magic wand, and like what the
And
science
any
behind
possible
the magic wand is
legal
to make-
means that I can get away with using alcohol and or various lies.
various lies. Okay, so do you like? Have you ever used the magic wand like in the past?
Not as much as I would have liked, but
Not as much.
it has been used.
It has been
It's
used.
got some little bit of mileage on it.
Okay.
We are the fabulous bird that flies in ever tighter and tighter circles until it flies into its own asshole.